Before I moved to France, I had some fears and some doubts come up in me. Today, I want to share with you 9 fears or concerns that come up for people before they make a move abroad. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you've already subscribed to my channel, thank you. If you're new here, watch this video, and if you enjoy this content, consider subscribing and clicking that notification bell so that you'll be notified each time I upload a video about life in France, moving abroad, or finding the confidence and courage to live life on your terms. I'm Patricia Brooks, and that's exactly what I did in 2018. I found the confidence and courage to leave my job and move to the south of France to find myself. And it's been an amazing experience filled with ups and downs. And today I'm going to share with you 9 things that scare people about moving abroad. The first thing for me that I was afraid of was that I would not qualify for a visa. And part of this fear stemmed from the idea that I had no clue what types of visas were out there. And so thinking about visas in general and not really knowing about the process, it was a scary prospect. Then I realized I was ready to move forward with my plans to move abroad, but I felt stuck to do anything about it. And I hired a coach. So that coach helped me to, number 1, look into the different visa types. And that's when I found out about the visitor visa, which allows you to live in France for a year. And you need to show that you aren't going to work and that you have the means to support yourself. And so that was the path that I wanted to go down. So now I had this idea that, maybe this could be possible, but I still wasn't sure because I didn't look into how much France wanted me to have in savings to show that I could support myself. So that was the second thing my coach helped me with. And that was to face my finances, to look at what I'd had saved to see if I would qualify. And I was afraid to do that because I feared that if I did not have enough already saved up, that would dash my hopes of living in France forever. Now, that is an irrational fear because I could always save more money. It just means that my timeline might be a little bit further out. But in my mind, it was like, oh no, if I recognize that I don't have enough, that ends this dream here and now and ends this dream that has helped buoy my spirits when I was going through a situation at work and in life where I really wasn't happy. And when I would look at, one day I'm going to move to France, lifted my spirits, and I didn't want to ruin that. But she helped me to look at that, helped me stay accountable to that. And the good news was that I had more than enough to show that I could go on this visitor visa. So the next steps really were to then pull together the documents, schedule the appointment, apply, and wait for the visa to come through. So number 1 was the fear that I wouldn't qualify for a visa. Number 2 was all around money and being able to show that I could support myself. And I think money is a big one for a lot of people. If you're leaving a job or if you're starting a business, all of that. And it's really important to understand what the government thinks that you need, even if you're not coming on a visitor type visa, and then what you would feel comfortable in addition to that, so that you can deal with emergencies and things like that. So I think that fear can be quelled or quashed by actually facing your finances as I did. All right, so that's number 2. Number 3 has to do with something that's connected to the visa, and that was finding a place to stay. You're moving to a foreign country, finding a place that feels like home to you, an apartment or a home that feels like home to you. That's important. And it's not necessarily so easy. And so for me, as part of the visa requirements, I needed to show that I had a place to stay for an entire year. And I did this from afar. Now, if you're doing an exploratory trip or a scouting trip, I highly recommend looking at places while you're there. connecting with a real estate consultant who might be able to help you with the process, build your dossier so that you are more likely to be accepted. But I was doing this from afar, and I was looking at long-term Airbnb. And the first place I looked at, they accepted me, and then a week later they said, no, we're going to sell the place, so it's not available. And my hopes were dashed then, and I thought, oh my gosh, I'm not ever going to find a place. But I set it aside for about a week because I was just not in the headspace to do it. But came back to it and found another place that was okay, got me the visa. Unfortunately, there were problems with that one and I had to move out, and that's a story for another video. But suffice it to say, I did find another place to stay, and that was taken care of. But it's a real valid concern. And so taking steps on an exploratory trip or finding a real estate consultant can definitely help to reduce those fears. Number 4 has to do with if you're moving to a country where the foreign language is spoken. For me, I didn't really have this so much as a fear, although maybe I should have, because I was moving to France because I wanted to become fluent in French. And I was doing my due diligence in practicing French every single day with the Pimsleur method. Now, if you're not familiar with Pimsleur, it's an audio program that you listen to 30 minutes a day and you repeat after the prompts. And it has this amazing way of helping you remember words and phrases that are really helpful in your day-to-day. And I found that so helpful that now as I am learning Spanish, I am using Pimsleur as well. If that sounds like something that might be of interest to you, I have an affiliate link that would give you a 7-day free trial. I'm going to put that in the description and you can check that out for yourself. So learning a foreign language or moving to a country where a foreign language is spoken and having the fear that you're not going to be able to communicate is a real one. Because for me, even though I had a solid base of the language, when I got here, the thing was I was so out of my element that I couldn't think very clearly. And so if you can't think very clearly, you're not able to access all that you know, right? And so I found that a humbling experience. And I did later sign up for a proper French class when I was here. And that was great. And that was a great way for me to meet people as well. So if you have this concern or fear, definitely start learning the language before you make the move abroad. And I have a couple of videos on language learning, and I'll put a link to them up here so you can check them out. So how do you learn languages, or how are you learning a language to move abroad? Let me know in the comments. What are some tools that you use? Number 5 has to do with friends, and that is friends that you might be leaving behind, family you might be leaving behind, and friends that you don't have yet in your future country. So for me, leaving behind family and friends was not a big concern for me. I have a very small family, and while I have friends back in the States, I felt like we could stay connected over the internet, through Zoom calls, that sort of thing. And I was going to have a spare room. So if they wanted to come visit me, they could. And I also was not averse to coming back to the States from time to time so that I could see them. But for you, it might be a bigger concern. So what can you do? Well, I will tell you that with the Zoom calls, the once monthly Zoom calls I have with this couple who are my best friends now in the States, it's been an amazing experience. It really has deepened our relationship. And in fact, we are closer now that I am 4,000 miles away from them than I was when I was a mile and a half down the road. And that sounds strange, but it's really deepened our relationship. So I wanted to put that out there to let you know that is possible to definitely stay connected with family and friends back home. And I think a key piece of this is definitely having a plan, right? Don't just move abroad and thinking that, oh, this will all just happen. It's like any relationship you have in person. If you don't work on the relationship, if you don't share what's going on with you or what's working, what's not, the relationship's not going to be that satisfactory, right? And so before you move abroad, have the conversations with your friends and your family and saying, hey, I'm going to be this far away, but I'm not going to be that far away. Let's have a plan for when we're going to meet. Let's meet at once a week, or let's meet once a month via Zoom or Skype or however you want to do that, so that you can keep those connections strong. All right. Number 6 was a fear I had of forgetting to do something vital in the United States that I could only do in the United States. And then I would be so far away and wouldn't be able to take care of it. And I think this was something that really crept up for me in the last month or so before I moved, because I was scrambling to get rid of stuff. And I just didn't want to be in a position where I needed to take care of something and I couldn't. One thing that almost slipped was getting a bank account that has low or no foreign transaction fees. And that is really key. So somebody mentioned something to me about that 2 weeks before. I'm like, oh my gosh, I hadn't thought about that. And I took care of that. So I think to tackle this is to make sure you have a checklist of things you need to do. I have a checklist of things you need to do while you're waiting to move abroad. And I will put that in the description so you can download that. But there are other people out there who have checklists as well. So check those out. And also you can go on to Facebook groups because there's a lot of information there. I'm sure there are plenty of posts about, what to do, what things to take care of before you move abroad. So that you don't have any surprises. So number 7 is something I wasn't concerned with. I knew that France was the country for me because of the language. I had considered Canada, but I knew the weather wouldn't do me for the winter. So I took a trip to France and I fell in love with France. So I knew France was the country. During my second trip here, I found the place. And so there was no question that I had found the right place. However, even though I found the perfect city for me for my first year, it wasn't perfect for me beyond that. And so I found myself moving outside of that first city to a smaller village that is right for me. And so I share this to say that when you have a feel of the place, of the country, and that you know that it's right for you, know that you can always move within that country. Or if you do decide that the country isn't right for you after you've been there, then you can always make another move to another country. So I think the idea of, you've got to find the right country is really important. And if you want to make a move abroad, to make it easier to move abroad and make decisions, getting to that place where you choose a country is important, because then when you choose a country, then you can look at what types of visas are available and what those requirements are. How much money you might need to live in that country so that you can have a savings target. And it just makes things go more smoothly. So fear of picking the wrong country is a big one, and it holds people back so much because they are spinning in their head. And that's a hard place to be in. So I share this story to help you with that. Number 8 has to do with self-doubt. And this is something that didn't happen to me before so much moving abroad, but after my 3rd or 4th week in France, I started to question my decision. How sane was it to quit a good paying job, to move someplace where I didn't have any friends or family, to not work, to live off of savings? And so this self-doubt crept up from time to time, often in my first year. And I had to swat it away. And so I had some things that I would do. I would meditate. I would go for a walk. I would do things to distract myself from this idea that I was doing something that was unusual. Because part of that was looking at the people I knew back home who weren't doing who weren't moving abroad and leaving their job, right? And so I'm thinking, well, maybe, this wasn't so wise. And I also had that old adage that was seared into my mind: a bird in the hand is worth 2 in the bush. You don't leave a job unless you have one. And I had to swat that away, and I replaced that with a new adage that my Uncle Bob shared with me. And he said that he preferred the adage, nothing ventured, nothing gained. And so every time I heard, I'd hear myself say, a bird in the hand's worth two in the bush, swat it away and say, nope, nothing ventured, nothing gained. And that helped calm me and say, no, you're doing the right thing. You're on the right track. But that's a real thing. Self-doubt once you have made your move, or maybe even before. And then finally, number 9 has to do with safety. Now, this wasn't something that I was really that concerned with consciously. I recognized that the United States had served its purpose for me and that I was ready for a new adventure. And it wasn't until I got to France and I was out of the constant barrage of news and news headlines that I felt this relief. A weight was released off of my shoulders, that there was this undercurrent of discomfort there. And I wouldn't equate it to not feeling safe, but it's close. It's close to that. And so if safety is a concern for you in the new place that you're going, recognize that where you're living now, if you don't feel safe, that is going to color how you see the world and how you see other countries. And so my suggestions there are to do your research to see how safe things are, read news of that country, visit and see how you feel there, right? Because I think sometimes that you can feel less safe or you can feel safer. And if you are moving abroad solo, or even if you're not, take reasonable precautions to keep yourself safe, right? I mean, it makes sense even where you are now, right? So safety is a big one. And like I said, if that is a concern for you, recognize that if you're feeling unsafe where you are, that sentiment can color your experience and what you may be thinking about other places and other countries. All right. So those are 9 things that people fear or are concerned about before making a move abroad. Which one of those resonates most with you? Let me know in the comments. Now, moving abroad, especially alone, is a daunting process. And that's why I created the Carefree Expat Incubator Program, so that you don't have to do it alone. When I did it, I wish I had a program like this, where there was coaching and mentoring to help me talk through decisions that I had to make. That there was a group of like-minded women who were doing the same thing. So I didn't feel like I was so strange, such an outlier to want to do something so different from all of my friends and family. If that sounds like something you would like to learn more about, then check out the link to my calendar in the description so we can have a conversation to kind of find out what you're looking for in your move abroad. And if working with me could help you make that move abroad more smoothly. All right, so that is all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up, share it with friends, subscribe, and I will see you again next time. Bye for now.